Welcome, wonderful dreamers. Today I want to add 3 different marinated chicken meals to the freezer. I want to make a lemon and herb marinade, a garlic and honey marinade, and a honey mustard marinade. I will leave a list of ingredients used in the description. The first one is the lemon and herb marinade. I add 2 tablespoons of olive oil. You can use vegetable oil, which is a neutral flavor and cheap. Canola oil, one of the best all-round choices. Sunflower oil is very neutral. I use olive oil, or even a light olive oil is great. Or avocado oil, which is excellent but can be a bit expensive. 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. If I had fresh lemon, I would add the juice and zest of 1 lemon. A teaspoon of garlic powder. Dehydrated parsley. I love that the garlic powder and parsley are from my own garden. One day I hope to have a lemon tree as well. A pinch of lemon thyme. Salt. And pepper. I make sure it's mixed together before adding the chicken. I'm adding 1½ cups of chicken. I squeeze the air out of the Ziploc bag. Seal it and make sure all the chicken is covered in marinade. And it's done and ready for the freezer. If stored correctly, raw chicken can be frozen for up to 3 months. Now to make the honey garlic. As always, I start with 2 tablespoons of olive oil. The oil helps carry the flavor, coat the meat, and add moisture and richness. Plus, it helps with the cooking. It doesn't tenderize the meat, preserve the meat, or penetrate deep into the meat. Then I add 2 tablespoons of honey. I use raw natural honey. However, that's a choice. Any honey will add the sweetness flavor to the marinade. One tablespoon of soy sauce. The soy sauce adds the saltiness, balances the sweetness of the honey, gives you that umami depth, and it helps the marinade have a more rich golden brown appearance when cooked. I want to add about 2 to 3 garlic cloves. I'm adding 1 fresh one. The garlic I'm using today is the Italian purple garlic I got from my garden. It's the last of it, so I nearly provided myself with a year's worth of garlic. Then some garlic cloves from my fermented honey garlic. The process of freezing and cooking in it will kill off the beneficial bacteria. But I'm using it for the deep nutty flavor it gives the garlic. Plus, once I finished using the spoon, I'll happily clean off the leftover honey and enjoy the beneficial bacteria that way.
Oh my God.
This is sticky work, but worth it. And then of course I add parsley because lately I'm adding parsley to everything. However, you can skip the herbs altogether. I'm using it for decoration and not the flavor in this marinade. This marinade is thicker, sticky, but delicious. I add the chicken and mix it through. Now I have a second marinade ready for the freezer. Lastly, I'm going to do 2 honey mustard marinades. One to freeze and one to cook tonight. I want to add a little bit of onion powder, as honey mustard can be a bit too sweet sometimes. The onion powder pulls the dish back towards savory just a little bit, as a bit more depth to the flavor can help stop the honey from being dominant. Or in other words, onion powder yummy. I'm adding the 2 tablespoons of oil. Next, I go with the honey, mainly because the oil on the tablespoon helps the honey slip out easy. Now 2 tablespoons of mustard. My favorite mustard is whole grain mustard. However, I don't have any at the moment, so I'm going to use American yellow mustard. It's very yummy too. But you could use any mustard, like Dijon or even hot English mustard. I would just use less of the hot mustard because I don't enjoy too much spicy heat. I then add a sprinkle of pepper. And then, of course, I'm going to add some parsley. I think the green will look great against the yellow. Then mix it together and add the chicken. I love chicken, however you can use pork, fish, prawns, turkey, lamb, beef, tofu, even vegetables. I'll divide up the rest of the chicken for these 2 marinades. I'll make sure they are mixed well. And I'll put the bowl in the fridge so that it can marinate for a few hours. Then I'll put the Ziploc bags in the freezer. I freeze them on a tray first, so they lay flat and I can stack them together in the freezer. Now I'm going to cook the honey mustard marinade. If it had been from the freezer, I would get it out the night before or that morning and let it defrost completely in the fridge. I like to bulk up my marinades with vegetables. However, you can make it any way you want, adding another cup or more of meat to the marinade. Or remove the meat and fill it with vegetables, making it vegetarian. I add the onion at the cooking stage, and not in the marinade, because I have found the chicken will cook faster than the vegetables. So I've added a bit of oil, half a large onion and some salt. I cook it on a low-medium heat for about 8 to 10 minutes. Oops, I forgot to hit record after the 8 minutes cooking time. After about 8 minutes, I add celery and carrot. I usually throw some onion powder into my vegetables as well, and depending on the marinade or my mood, I may add more vegetables like peas and corn or beans. However, I would throw them in after the chicken marinade as I don't like those vegetables overcooked. But throwing them in right now is fine, it's more a preference. Wow, more parsley. I do like using it everywhere. It will sit there for another 8 minutes to cook the vegetables. I can smell the honey mustard. Then I'll cook it for another 10 to 15 minutes, or basically until the chicken is completely cooked. I will stir it a few times to make sure the chicken cooks evenly. I'm serving it with potato, that you could have it with rice or pasta or bread or by itself or in a wrap. It's great the next day in a sandwich or in a grain bowl. And the best part is now that you've cooked the chicken, it can be frozen again for up to 3 months. Once you cook the raw chicken, you create a new cooked food product, which means if you follow the process, you can safely freeze the chicken again. I was able to get 3 meals from this one honey mustard chicken marinade. Do you have a favorite marinade? Let me know in the comments. I hope you had a good day.